Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the Senior Voices Talk Show. I'm your host, Marisela Solis Ferguson. Have you ever, and you should, wanted to get a better understanding of how our city works? Consider attending the Rialto Institute. You know, I did, and I learned that it gave us an overview of how the city departments work and actually how they tick. One of these sessions that I attended really got my attention, and that was the police department. We have a panel today, and we have the privilege of meeting and hearing in their own words a panel of Rialto police volunteers. Would you please give them some love? My first guest is Mr. Earl Coatney.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you now, how many years have you been a volunteer?
This is my 7th year.
This is your seventh.
Yeah.
This is your 7th year,
Yeah.
And can you share with us what are some of the rewards of being a volunteer?
I think I've learned a better understanding of how the city operates and the people of the different areas around town, because we're everywhere. We go everywhere in town. I think I've learned a lot about how the city's grown and about how the city police department operates on a daily basis.
Oh, wow. One of the things that kind of piqued my attention, since I live also in the city of Rialto, is the neighborhood watch. Are any of the volunteers, are you in particular involved?
I'm not in particular. I have attended the meetings as,
Okay.
to help organize.
Right.
But we have one lady that's in charge of it, Judy Roberts.
Oh, okay.
And she does most of that.
Oh, all right. And what happens at the neighborhood watch that you
They
attend?
usually have the people fill out a sheet, and then they sit and talk about the problems they're having in their particular area. If they're having a lot of burglaries, if they're having a lot of break-ins into cars, if they're having a lot of stray dogs, and they talk about it. And there's usually 2 police officers there that will answer their questions about what the PD can do to make this better.
Awesome. It came to my attention that you were selected as the Volunteer of the Year. Is that correct?
That's true.
Oh, well, let's woo! Go Rialto. Now, tell us, how do you get selected? I mean, because there's a fleet of volunteers.
Once a year they have an award ceremony,
Oh.
and the command staff sits down about a month before, which is usually in January sometime, and they put names in, and then they tell what the people did to deserve this.
Oh.
And mine was the fact that I've done a lot of work with the traffic division. I'm an ex-truck driver of 48 years, and since we've built so many warehouses in Rialto,
Right.
we have an influx of trucks.
Yes, we do.
We have 25, 30,000 trucks in town that used to have 5,000 trucks in town. So between that and then being a truck driver as long as I owned my own trucks for a while, that I had an insight into what they should look for when they're looking for trucks that are unsafe, overweight, off truck route. And I would help the officer. I ride with them and help the officer pick things out on the truck.
Are you involved at all? Like, we've been having this horrible weather with the rain and all, and outages. Are you involved in directing traffic or
Well, they call us
coordinating?
sometimes if they have a flooded area, and they,
Right.
in order to keep the officers doing police work, they'll call us out to do the work as traffic, directing traffic. So we
Support.
have our own cars and everything, and we have all the equipment that the police have, but we just direct traffic so they can free the officers up to do criminal investigations.
And I have to tell you, honestly, that is so crucial because, Rialto, I mean, I consider a shortage of police officers. So by having these volunteers, it does free up the police officer to do the next level police work. Well, I just want to say thank you so much. We appreciate what you do, and I hope maybe you'll come back.
Not a
Thank you so
problem.
much. Thank you. And next we have Senior Police Volunteer, Barbara Bloodworth. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Mrs. Bloodworth, how long have you been a volunteer?
I've been a volunteer for 12 and a half years.
How many years?
12 and a half.
12 and a half years.
ma'am.
My goodness, I could have graduated from high school 3 times. You know what? How do you stay so dedicated? That's a lot of years.
So many things are rewards beyond belief. The happiness in a senior's eyes when you go over and help them put sandbags around their house.
Right, right.
Um,
I'm glad you brought that up because the show's called Senior Voices. What about seniors that get lost? You know what? I've had a pretty alert mind, but you never know. One day I'm driving and all of a sudden I forget who I am, where I am. It's happened. How do you deal with lost seniors?
We have a program at the police department where they will come to your house and they'll put a bracelet on you. It looks kind of like a big watch, and then once a month they will come and change the batteries for you, and you don't have to ask them to come. It's just on their thing. It automatically alerts the police that you're missing, and
okay.
so they can start watching for you instantly. My mother has one, and so it has totally taken away my worry about her wandering
Correct.
off. She has Alzheimer's, so that would have been a real concern.
Right.
But with that life thing that they
Right.
give them, is just wonderful.
So we can call the police department and get more
Oh,
information,
yes.
right? Okay, so
Yes.
if you're interested, you know a senior, you are a senior, and you want some more information, you call the Rialto Police Department to get more information on lost seniors. Well, seniors aren't the only ones that get lost, but I have to tell you, the other day, I was in another city, and I had to make an appointment for fingerprinting, and they said I made the appointment, but then they were short on help, and I had to wait and wait and wait. Do we have someone here and a volunteer that does that, or is that something you're involved with?
I am the fingerprint kind of specialist.
Okay. Oh,
for
excellent.
children. For criminals, we use a life scan system
Oh, okay.
where they wet their fingers, put it on a screen, and then it takes their fingerprints. For the children, we use the old method of rolling their prints. Sometimes we try to use a special ink that comes off easy because kids are so amazingly gorgeous and beautiful and funny. They go like this. How do I look?
Yeah. How do I
mean,
look?
They're
That's right.
absolutely awesome.
Are the children your specialty?
Yes, I specialize in children over there.
Tell us a little bit about that.
We have a program at the Rialto PD where, for example, we had a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old running naked down the street trying to catch the ice cream man. A man picked them up and took them home and called the police department. The
Thank
police
goodness.
department came and picked up the children, brought them to me at the police station,
Can you tell me again, how old were they?
2 and 3.
2 and 3.
Yes.
No adult supervision.
No adults anywhere.
Oh my goodness.
They brought them to me, and I got them all cleaned up. We have a program where we have a trailer in the back, the volunteers. We have every kind of clothing, pajamas, slippers, diapers, everything to cover every age of child. We take them in. The first thing we do with the older children is to take the chairs and move them all out of the break room. We have big, tall tables, so we make them a tent. Children love tents. So we do that with them. I have kind of a specialty. I raise butterflies.
Really?
So to help the children kind of open up, because all they've seen of a police officer is them arresting their parents.
Right.
They think the police officers are just there to take away their parents and leave them alone.
And it's so scary.
Oh yeah, they're terrified. When they come there, I bring caterpillars, and we have caterpillar races. I will feed my caterpillar until he's really full. So their caterpillars win every single race. Pretty soon they start naming their caterpillars and feeling more secure, and then they tell the caterpillar what happened to their friend. Their friend is them. By having this opportunity to do this with them, I can find out what's going on with them so that I can let the police officers know more than the child will tell them.
Isn't that amazing how a caterpillar, a butterfly, can help a child feel secure, give details, and help the police officers do their job? Wow. Excellent, honestly. Excellent. That is awesome. I want to thank you. Senior Volunteer Bloodsworth. I think that what you guys do is just awesome, and I'm so glad that here at Senior Voices that we are able to let the community know, because we need to show more love. You really have my respect. When we come back, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll meet two other senior volunteer police volunteers. And we're also going to go on location and actually see some photo clips, some video clips in action. Thank you, and we're back. Our next guest, our next police volunteer is R.J. Jackson. Let's give her some love. Thank you so much. May I call you R.J.?
Please do.
Yeah, I like that, R.J. R.J., tell us, how long have you been a volunteer?
A little over 12 years.
Over 12 years? Oh my gosh, what's up with it? You know what? That's the thing about seniors, stay power. Yeah. We're committed, we're dependable. I mean, that is just awesome. Tell me, what motivated you, kind of pointed you to the direction of being a volunteer?
Not only is that the thing about seniors, but that's the thing about volunteers, committed to what we've been called to do. I started volunteering because when my mother passed, I went back to New York, and while I was gone, someone broke into my home.
Oh.
And that night of reporting the crime, Rialto Police Department had 4 suspects in custody. And I said, what can I do to serve you? Because you guys rock.
They were
and
on it. They were on it.
Okay,
love
they didn't treat it like, oh, it's just stuff. Oh, it happens. But they treated it as if they cared. And so I wanted to serve with them.
You wanted to be part of that caring group. I like that. Now, let me ask you, since you mentioned that, how do you volunteer? How do you become involved? How do you become a volunteer?
Well, that's a very easy process. The first thing you want to do is go through our Citizen Academy.
Citizen Academy.
Which is offered here in Rialto. So you want to complete the Citizen Academy and the training, and then once you do that, you just complete an application and say, hey, I want to partner with you. And it is offered once a year, depending on availability. So get in now.
That's right.
While you can.
Right. So for more information, pick up the phone, go down to the police department and get the information. Don't be left behind, especially seniors. You know what? We're very committed. We're very dependable. I even see, I saw the other day, I was reading the newspaper, and they were saying how some of the businesses are looking now to hire a few seniors because they're the dependable workers. They show up and they stay. Awesome blossom. Now, tell us more. What's your specialty?
Well, serving is my specialty. I used to do a little bit of everything. I've done the DUI checkpoints. I've done the fingerprinting. I've done the station tours. I've done the neighborhood watches. I did the translating in Spanish when no one else was available. And then I suffered a life-threatening car accident which put me in a wheelchair for about 2.5 years. And I'm just really getting back on my feet. But for the last 3.5 years, I've served as a chaplain for the volunteers.
I was just, I was, as you're speaking, honestly, I have to tell you, I really picked up a very positive, I hate to say karma or spirit about you, but that's exactly what I sensed. And then I noticed that you had a crucifix on your, so I didn't know if I could bring it up, but may I?
Yes, absolutely.
Tell us about that. I mean, you had this accident, right? It was life-threatening, knocked you off your feet, but it didn't knock you off your spirit, right?
Absolutely.
So tell us about that.
I can't tell you about the accident itself because I have no memory of it. I can only tell you what people told me that happened. But I can tell you I'm alive.
Yes, ma'am.
And I celebrate 60 years of life
Whoop,
this month.
whoop. Awesome. Isn't that great?
And I'm excited to be able to continue to give my life away, and the fact that even though I couldn't do the normal duties that I was used to doing, that the Rialto Police Department did not give up on me, and they continue to let me serve. So I like to say I stand in the gap for the officers. So I'm the one at night praying for them. I'm the one covering them. I'm the one reminding them how much we appreciate them, not only for our officers, but for the volunteers as well. So each month I send out cards. If something happens, I send out cards, birthdays, anniversaries, all those good things. I'm the one to say, hey, we celebrate you.
Well, I know that if I was a volunteer, I would love to get a card from someone that is so encouraging. You are definitely an encourager. And I would look forward to your sunshine. I mean, that is so huge. And I tell you, so often, people in law enforcement, I hear that, that they don't feel like they're appreciated, but I feel like this. Some of us are quick to complain, but we should be just as quick to show appreciation and respect for persons that put their lives on the line, not to be taken lightly. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Because that was pretty good, juicy too, if I do say so myself. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, hey, tell us more.
Well, just for an example, like we honor the officers once a year. We make sure that they each receive something special. On holidays, when we're all at home with our families enjoying, we have officers who are serving and protecting us. So we would provide meals for them.
Now,
So that while they're
I just
at
want to
work,
make sure I understand you right. When you say we, are you talking about the volunteers
the
provide
volunteers.
for
No
the
one-
police officers? Oh
no
my
one
gosh.
can do it alone, regardless of what our title is
right?
or our specialty. We work together, and so it's each one reach one, and we are a team. We're a
Mono and
family.
mono.
Absolutely.
Okay. Awesome blossom. I love that. I love that, and I love you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow.
Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you, and our next guest is Richard Montano. Volunteer Montano, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a volunteer.
Thank you.
Tell us, I want to know if you're going to top those years. How long have you been a volunteer?
I've been a volunteer for 17 years.
Woo! Oh my gosh, 17 years. Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Okay, now, I don't know if I should ask you, but 17 years, did you start when you were like, don't you have to be a volunteer after 55?
No, it doesn't.
I want you to say, because I don't want you to say, hey, you're, harassing me, but how old are you?
I'm 70, actually.
Oh my gosh.
I just turned 70.
70. Oh my God, that's awesome. Oh my God. Hey, listen, this is what 70 looks like? Oh.
Yes.
What vitamins do you take? Because I want to know if fish oil, what is it? Oh my gosh, this is excellent.
Healthy living.
Healthy living. Oh
And
my
volunteering.
gosh. And volunteering. You know what? I think that you're right, though. When you volunteer, it keeps your brain active, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It just keeps you going. I really enjoy it. I enjoy the camaraderie with the volunteers and with the officers. We mostly work with the traffic people, with traffic division people, and they're just, just super people.
What do you guys do in the traffic?
Well, we help them out there's a number of things that they do. Well, the big thing is DUI checkpoints. I'm the volunteer supervisor for the DUI checkpoints.
Okay.
I have to make sure we set up after we get the command post there.
Right.
Make sure we have the supplies that we need for the officers. Make sure that we have a counter that has to count. We have a person that has to count how many cars are screened during the DUI checkpoint. That's a very important thing because, the Office of Traffic Safety requires that information in order for the department to get their grants.
I'm thinking, so when something happens like during the day, especially like, not necessarily a major car accident, but even this weather, how it's been so bad and really dangerous. I even today as I was coming in, I noticed that the water was actually rising over the sidewalk going into yards. I mean, the police officers can't be everywhere. Is that something that you would free up a police officer to, like, directing traffic or putting the blockades up? I don't know.
Absolutely. We get called out, and when they need us, we do traffic control where we close the street down, and that frees an officer from having to sit there for hours at a time. In fact, I got a story. One time, 2 of our volunteers were out. They closed down the street. The officer that was there left. 20 minutes later, he caught 2 burglars. So
No way.
Had he been there for a couple more hours, those burglars would have gotten away. So that's a good story.
That is a good story. Thank you. Thank you for being there. Whew. Oh my gosh. Now, let me ask you, what do you find, the most enjoyable? What is your personal satisfaction when you, as being a volunteer? I know you said the camaraderie working, with the other officers, but have you ever,
Well, I grew up in a family that it was important to serve, and I've served all my life. I volunteered for the military when for Vietnam. I'm a 40-gallon blood donor.
Whoa!
I'm still donating gallon. My goal is to donate 55 gallons.
Sheesh,
I've still got
you're
ways to
getting
go.
close, okay?
But I do apheresis, so it's I can go every couple of weeks. But I don't do that. But I'm still over the years it's 40 gallons.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, and maybe that's why you look so young and strong. I wanted to ask you about the volunteer program. I know that volunteer RJ had mentioned about the classes and all that, but is this something that only Rialto does? Does the program partner with other cities, or are you aware of other cities doing this?
Well, I know for sure that Fontana has volunteers, and we had a volunteer who was from San Bernardino, and she said this person told us that she was a volunteer in San Bernardino, but I don't know much about the other programs. I do know Fontana for sure has volunteers, and I'm sure most cities have police volunteers.
Well, I think a wise department, wise leadership would embrace that idea. But I know that in our audience, we have a lot of folks from Rialto, but people have heard of how wonderful this show is, and so we have people today that are from Fontana, Colton, Bloomington, San Bernardino, and Grand Terrace. So we have a live audience, and that's wonderful. It says a lot. By the way, if there are any seniors in our audience, let's show some more love for our guests. See, that's a senior applause. We're screamers. But is there anything else that you'd like the audience to know?
I think it's a great program. I think it's like we mentioned. If you like to serve, it's a good way to serve the city, to help people, to just gather with other people, and like I said, the camaraderie is just great.
Right. Well, like I said, I had saw the program. I became aware of the program by attending the Rialto Institute, and I want to encourage folks out there, especially my seniors, but everyone, consider attending the Rialto Institute. It reviews different departments for the city, and the highlight and what got my attention was the police volunteer. My AS is in police science. I went 2 years, and I was a sworn police dispatcher, and I'll tell you, it's scary. Your heart starts beating sometimes really fast, but the reward is great. And I want you to know that on behalf of the citizens here in Rialto, we appreciate you. We appreciate you every day, every hour, what you do. So now let me tell you, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to play 2 lies and 1 truth, because seniors just want to have fun. Thank you, and welcome back. In this segment, we're going to play 2 lies, 1 truth, because you know seniors just want to have fun, right? All right. Okay. Well, you already know our very honest, hardworking senior police volunteers. But who you haven't met is Inspector Sleuth. And Inspector Sleuth is here to find out the truth. We don't know how many years, we don't even know if he's been a police volunteer, but hopefully he has his skills together. Today we're playing 2 lies, 1 truth. Will Inspector Sleuth know who's telling the truth? We're going to start right now. We're going to share an incident, and someone is lying and someone is telling the truth. We'll start with volunteer Bloodworth. What happened?
I was on a ride along with one of the officers. We got a call that there was a stolen car.
Oh my.
So we were going down Valley Boulevard, and we pulled the car over, and the young man inside of it, he was very nice, very cooperative.
Oh.
And so we were questioning him, and we asked him, we explained to him that the car was reported stolen, and he said it wasn't really stolen, that his job was to put new stereos in cars, and he was test driving it to see if the stereo worked. And so I told Luther, I said, how many times have you gotten stereo put in your car that they took it out and test drove it? And Luther said, no, I haven't never heard of that. So we took the guy out of his car, we set him on the walk by the fence. Another man came walking down, and he said, don't tell that police officer anything, I have a friend who's an attorney. Luther tells him, well, you need to call that friend who's an attorney, because you're going to need one too for obstruction of justice.
Oh my gosh.
So he sat them all down. Well, in the meantime, the DUI checkpoint that was up the street, they were coming out of there and coming this way. Apparently, one of the cars had not been picked to go through the DUI checkpoint, and he came through, and right at that point he swerved and hit the 2 guys that were sitting by the fence. So
The suspects.
So Luther and I, we got the paramedics there just as soon as we could. Neither one of them had life-threatening injuries, but they did have serious injuries. And everything turned out okay, but that was one of the most scariest things I had ever seen.
Gosh, oh, thank you
Right,
for sharing.
right in front of me,
Yeah,
right in front of us.
right
You
in
know,
front
we're
of
like, to see somebody get hit by a car, it's just like
Yeah,
terrifying.
that's terrifying. Oh, thank you for sharing. Now, volunteer Montano, what was your
yes.
story?
Yes, I was on a call out. Okay, I went out middle of the day, and
Right.
when it was a murder, and you know, when you have a murder or any kind of incident like that, that serious, the first officers that get there have to put the crime scene tape out to protect evidence, you know, just in case there's evidence. So they put out a wide area where the detectives will come in and they'll scour the area, and then they'll put little marks in where they think that there's evidence. And so I'm out there for hours at a time. I'm just pacing back and forth, making sure that nobody crosses that crime scene. We have the crime scene tape, and you got to keep people out of the crime scene. So I'm standing there for hours, and detectives are out there, police officers out there looking for evidence. And it was a stabbing, and so I'm sitting there and I'm looking at one area, and I say, that looks like a bloody knife, you know, and I'm going, and finally one of the detectives come by and says, you know, I think that's something right there. I mean, they'd scoured that area and they never saw that bloody knife.
Oh my.
And so I told them, check that out, and they did, and I said, yeah, it was related to the crime. And so, you know, they thanked me for that, and they were able to eventually solve the crime.
Wow, thank you, thank you. Whew. RJ, what happened to you?
It was my first day out as a volunteer.
Right?
We got a call over the radio. Robbery in progress.
No.
I'm riding with the officer. We get to the scene and she says, okay, RJ, get out the car and follow me everywhere I go.
Write that down.
I said, no, I'm not getting out the car. You have the gun.
Not today.
Not me. You get out the car and you go get him. I'll wait for you right
That's right.
here.
I'm not getting paid.
I'm not. And she said, RJ, get out the car. I said, nope, didn't sign up for that. And I said, I'll duck down right here. And she said, RJ, if you don't get out the car, the first person he's gonna shoot is you.
Woo!
I jumped out the car,
Gosh, oh my gosh.
faster than her.
Faster than
And from pillar to post, I followed her everywhere she went. There was no suspect,
Okay.
and we were all safe.
And we're safe. Okay. That's huge. We're going to let Inspector Sleuth ask just one question of every volunteer. Question number one.
Are you telling the truth?
You can't ask that question. Oh, come on, Inspector Sleuth. Question number one. First question. Uh-oh. What time was it
Okay, what time was it?
when it happened?
I can't really give you that information because it's still under investigation.
Okay. What did the knife look like?
What did the knife look like? Oh, it was one of those like hunting knives.
How scared were you?
Scared? I'm courageous.
You need some help? We're going to ask our audience who they think to help. We obviously, the Inspector Sleuth needs some help. Oh, boy. Okay. All right. By a show of applause, volunteer Bloodsworth. Is she telling the truth? Is she telling the truth? There's two lies and a truth out here, you guys. Bloodworth story. True or false? Montano. RJ. Oh, we have a lot of unsure people. All right, Inspector Sleuth, who's lying? Number one, tell us who's telling the truth. And you win the prize. You win the senior prize.
I think number 2 is telling the truth.
And tell us why do you think number 2 is telling the truth?
Well, because on the, with my investigation, I feel that him seeing that knife all bloody, that's got to be the murder weapon.
That's got to be the murder weapon. Okay. Very slowly. 2 lies, 1 truth. Very slowly. Please stand if you're telling the truth. Everybody lie. Stop right there. She's And there you have it. Seniors just want to have fun. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode with our, showing and giving love to our police volunteers. Thank you to our senior Sleuth. who didn't figure out the truth. We're seniors and we just want to have fun. Thank you. Until the next time, I'm Marisela Ferguson with Senior Voices. Woo!